Yo, hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today is going to be a great day, and this week is going to be a wonderful week. This week we're going to do a weekly recap of some pairs that I'm looking forward to. For example, we have GBPCAD, we have Euro AUD, and USDJPY and GBPAUD. So on this, we are going to start with GDP card. So, firstly, we are going to do a top-down analysis starting from a weekly basis. Let's see what the price is doing on a weekly basis. Now, if for me to do my top-down analysis, once I can see a clear section in AUD in a weekly, then I can step up to a monthly. So if I step to a monthly, what is the monthly giving us? So looking at the monthly, we are at a crucial point in the monthly basis. Prices at this region, prices at this region, and we have seen a consolidation for a little bit of sided consolidation here on a monthly basis. So now let's step down to a weekly basis. So a weekly basis now, yeah, looking at the weekly basis, we are still on an uptrend. Price is giving out an uptrend scenario. Here we're still on uptrend, and we got here. This is the sideway consolidation we saw monthly. So on a weekly basis, what are we expecting price to do? Because this is a bounce from this bullish order block, bullish engulfing candles, and price have been trailing up, and price is trying to form a double top at this point. But to my own analysis, my expectation is still an uptrend. I'm expecting price to go on an uptrend, and if you check sideways to break this level of liquidity here and to fill up this gap. I think the major place the price is going is to fill up this gap that is here on a weekly basis, this gap, and which also have a resistance support which have turned to resistance now. So what are we expecting in market? We're still expecting an uptrend. So let's go back to our main market. So what we're expecting is like a continuation to fill up this place, which is on a weekly. It might not get there this week, but we're still looking for continuation to the upside. On a daily basis, last week was a form of like a sideways consolidation. If you look here, and we have a lot of point here, resistant point, support point here. So what are we expecting for this new coming week? Now, looking at here, this is a crucial point at the point here. Here we have a crucial point. We have a gap here that price haven't filled up. So we have like imbalance. But looking at my 4 hours basis, I will step down to 4 hours for my top down analysis. My bias is still on upside. I'm just looking for where to take my trade from to go to the upside, and we continue the movement for the week. But our major expectation for price to get to is at this point. So what I'm doing now is like, okay, where can I even take my profit if price eventually went to go according to how we planned it? So now I'm looking at this region here, this eye, this swing eye, this swing low to swing high here. This is what I'm looking for, expecting price to come back to the 50% region of this swing high to swing low. So if I use my fib from here, or let's use this week here, from here to the highest week here, I'm expecting price to trade back to the 50% region here. Then we might see a movement to the upside. So if price eventually trade down or gap down in this coming week that we're going to enter, I'm expecting to take my trade at this point to the upside, this point here, yeah, and I'm going to look for a gap at this point. This is a form of a rejection point, and this is the last down candle before this trade goes up. So I'm looking for to take my trade within this region here. I'm expecting to take my trade within this region, price might first go down, and once price is coming back to this region, I'm expecting to take my trade to the upside. It might form something like this. So this is the region for me to take my trade. Within this region here, I might see something like this and we move to the upside because we are still on the uptrend. And that is my weekly perspective decision for GDP card. Now, thank you. So now let's move to what are we going to expect in Euro AUD for this coming week. Wow, I already marked it out here. So let us clear it out and see what we're expecting for the coming week. Okay, looking for the coming week. Let's do a top-down analysis on weekly basis. Now, this is a top-down analysis from a weekly basis. You've seen a rejection at this other block here. We've seen a strong rejection, price has weak up, and we've seen a pull up to this gap here, and price is coming down to this level. So looking at it, if we step down on a monthly basis, so this is on a monthly basis. On a monthly basis, price will always retrace the last month. Price have already retraced it. Then we want to go back to fill up these pullback that happened there. So my bias also is still price is still on an uptrend for Euro AUD. So what are we expecting for the weekly? Weekly, we see this rejection here, and let's mark out this point. This point, this is a gap. This gap is so huge that price need to fill it up. So let me mark out this point, the point that this market intersect each other, because there's a gap here. That's what happened. So if you step down to a daily, on a daily basis, what are we expecting? Here we see a bullish engulfing candle that cover this one, two. Now price is retracing back to it for it to move to the upside, because now we've seen a little bit of shift, because this year price shift to the upside, and we're looking for price to get here. Even though we are not looking for price to get high here, we're expecting price to come back to this with this support region here, because there's a lot of support region here now which has already turned to resistance. So our expectation for next week and is still price to continue to the upside. Now looking for that, for price to continue to the upside, we are going to mark our region to take our profits and region to enter the market. So looking at next week, we're expecting price to do something like this, to come to this region on Monday. Then we see what the price is going to do. If there's no gap, sometimes price can gap up. So our region for trading this week is from this region here, to this region here. So which is equivalent to something like 300 pips. Yeah, something like that. So this is where we're looking for our price to enter the price and to get out of the price. If now step down to 4 hours, due to our top down analysis. Now, if you step down to 4 hours, what is the region that we're looking here? Looking at this point, we see a little bit of imbalance here. So, and we see this doji now. Anytime I see this doji, I always count it as something important. I used to take it as something important. So, I'm looking for a price action at this point, at this region, to move to the upside. But price might do what it wants to do, and price might first grab this liquidity below here, grab this low liquidity here below here, and continue. So if price is doing something like that, I'm not interested in the trade. I'm not interested in the trade until price come back to this region. Then I might look for continuation to the upside. Price might gap down to somewhere around there. That's price. Price might gap down to somewhere around there, which is I've already tapped in here, but it's just a week. Price might now come to body tap it, then go back. If you check 1 hour, what are we doing on the 1 hour? Do we have any form of, okay, yeah. If you look at this point from swing high to swing low, let me bring out the 50% region of that trade also. Swing high to swing low here. So if you check the 50%, 50% is giving us this region here, and we're looking for 75% is giving us this region here. So our expectation for this next week is, what candle formation do we see here that will give us a sign that okay, we are going outside, or what candle formation do we see at this region that will give us an evidence we are going. So let's look for this region here for us to take our trade to the upside. We're still on an uptrend, so that's it for the next coming week. We're still on uptrend on EA. And looking at EA and GA, sometimes they have something like a correlation, but not that. Yeah, sometimes they move equally, but not that strong. So let's do a top-down analysis. Now, on our top-down analysis here, let me close this chart. These have been my old charts that I used to do then before I took a break. Okay, now looking at this point here, see, what are we expecting on EGA also? To me, looking at this chart I saw here, I am still expecting an uptrend on GA to break above this high here, or to form an equal highs here. There's nothing like okay, price is going down here. We're still expecting continuation to the upside on GA. GA weekly basis, we have this weak formation that occurs here, and we have this one which is already broken above this region here. So we have this strong region, a sideways consolidation. Now at this point, I usually do something. I usually take um my box and find out the 50% of this region. It is always my type of trading. 50% of this region, and price have already even respected it from this analysis here. So when we step down to a daily sorry guys, when we step down to a daily, we actually see an order block here. The price might eventually get to this point here that we're expecting price to eventually get to. So now looking at this, we have swing high, swing low, swing high, swing low. Now we're expecting another swing high for the next coming week. But this one is looking at okay, this I've already created a bullish engulfing candle, which I'm not expecting, which some people may not expect price to get to. So what are we expecting for next week? This high here, this high that created here, I'm expecting price to come down to this high here as on the Monday, Tuesday trade. Price might eventually come here. Then we see something bullish to the upside. Expecting to break above this high that forms here. We're expecting price to break above this high that forms here. And looking at this place for our TP, or above this region for our TP. You understand? Once price come to this region, and we can actually use trend 9 also to support our judgment. We can use our trade 9 to support the judgment here. Now let's use 9. Yeah, let's use something like this to support our judgment here. Yeah, something like this. We're expecting price to do something, but the trend line would be more sharper if we can move to like a 4 hours chart. Okay, now on the 4 hours, yeah, if we can move here and use our 9 chart. So on the 4 hours, we're expecting something like a perfect trend line on it. So, and looking at this point, this point forms a lot of support resistance. Formula support here, resistance here. So price is coming down. Take this liquidity that was here, come down to this region, then we boom up to the upside. So my expectation for GA is still an uptrend. GA is on an uptrend to this point. Then we can decide what's next. So that's it for GA for this coming week. And UJ. Now let's do analysis for UJ. UJ have been on a downtrend for like 2 weeks, or yeah, for 2 weeks now. Last week was still a continuation to the downside, which I'm expecting UJ to take this low here. I'm expecting it to take the low that forms here. I'm expecting UJ to take this low and this low that forms here. So we on Monday we are expecting a continuation to the downside on that's on UJ. So we're expecting a continuation to the downside to this region. Once it break this region, we might now look for retracement back to this region here. So why did I say so? Let's go to our top down analysis, looking for the weekly basis. Now let me do it on a monthly basis so you can understand. So on a monthly basis, this is the last month and this is the current month. This is the retracement. We have already did the retracement of this last month, which caused a rejection from this point here. We've seen a strong rejection at this point, which forms here. There's a rejection here. So we already, now what are we looking for price to do? To break below this low here, to break below this low here. It's already broken below this low, just to confirm the week and break below the week. And here also we're expecting to break below this week and come to this level here, this level, because there's a gap at this point. So looking at this gap might still hold. That's why I bring out the 50% of the gap. We're seeing a continuation to the downside, so there's nothing retracement to the upside. You might just see a minor retracement, then continuation. Now if you check on a weekly basis, so what are we doing on a weekly basis? On a weekly basis, check something. In any price, once price open, price will always retrace then continue. So now price close as a bullish candle, bearish candle here, strong bearish candle. So next week we are expecting price to come retrace to this level and continue to the downside to our TP, because we're expecting price to take out this low and take out this low, then come back to this level of resistance, which I've already done to support, which is 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, which is a strong point for us. So what we're expecting for UJ now is to find a level of retracement to the upside here. To find the level of retracement to upside here, then we see a continuation here. Or we might see something like this, because price will be price. Sometimes, sometimes price will be price and there's nothing we can do about it. Just to fake you out, we might see something like this, a continuation to the downside, then we'll continue up here, then we'll finish our normal direction. So price can do that. So for us to avoid that, we are going to step down to a lower time frame and check, do we have any auto block here that price can first run to before we continue to the upside. So if you step down to a daily basis, we did not have something like that. We have liquidity for price to be taking to take off of this place. We have a strong liquidity point, a lot of liquidity area here for price to take out some trade. Now if you step down to 4 hours, do we have any crucial point? This is the double low I said price is going to take. So at this point, on the 4 hours, okay, let me correct this one. On the 4 hours, we have this low here. We have this here. We have this here that we're expecting price might run to on Monday. Market open on Sunday. Then price might run to 8. Then we might see a little bit of low retracement Tuesday, Wednesday. Then Wednesday, New York section, that we see continuation to the downside. So price might do something like that. So our expectation should be something like, okay, we're expecting continuation to the downside, then retracement, then movement. So let's, to confirm this region, let's step to 2 hours, and if we can see an order block that price might get to and retrace back. So now on a 1 hour basis, so that point still hold on 2 hours, on 1 hours. So looking at this region here, it form has a lot of support zone here. Then price broke it to the downside. Then here it form has a lot of resistance, a little. Then price continue to the upside. So we should be looking at this region and at this weak area for price to first run to on Monday. Then on Tuesday we see a retracement, and during the week we see the continuation to the downside. So that is the analysis for UJ also, and that's it for this week. And thank you very much, and do have a lovely week. So thank you. Now let's do a recap. UJ expecting a continuation, market open continuation to the downside, retracement, and boom to continuation to the downside. We're expecting downside. And on our UJ also continuation to the downside, then we see retracement to the upside and continuation to the upside. That is, we're on an uptrend on UJ. The same thing with Euro AUD. Euro AUD, GDP AUD, they have actually the same movement. So we're expecting uptrend for the both pairs. And GBPCAD, the same thing, we're expecting an uptrend for that. And USDJPY, we are still on the down movement. Thank you very much, and have a lovely week.